right, welcome back to another episode of Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. Today, Heather and I are joined by Jerry from the band Vanishing Kids. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah, we talked about your new album and your music on one of our podcast episodes, and we had trouble I had trouble describing the music because your sound is so unique. And
yeah, I heard you coming up with some adjectives.
Yeah, and trying to put it into, a genre, which, it doesn't really fit in one. There's several maybe, but help us describe what your sound is like.
Well, I've had a lot of people try to describe it, and some of the ways I've heard is acid rock or psychedelic. Of course, we get the doom and the shoegaze stuff. And, as you guys, I agree with you guys. There's really no one English word that can describe the music. But on our last tour last year, a fan came up to me and he gave me the perfect name for our music, and it's called gloom metal. It rolls off the tongue good. Yeah, try it. Say gloom metal. I mean, it works great, I think.
Gloom metal. I like it.
Perfect.
I like it. Yeah, and your singer, she has such a beautiful but unique voice, and the way she sings is really unique, and it gives the music it makes it kind of mysterious. The whole vibe is it has a mystery to it.
Well, there's a lot mysterious about Nikki, including her last name, and I'll give it a go. Her name is Nikki Droho Myrecki, is her last name. She sometimes goes by Nick Nads. But I tell you what, to be with this woman for the last 11 years writing these albums and this Vanishing Kids music, there's not one human that has more passion for the art itself that I've ever been around. And I'm a passionate performer myself, and I finally found my match with Nikki. So it's just been an amazing run for the last decade, hanging out with Nikki and touring and making music.
Yeah. As I was listening to, I listened to the two most recent albums today to kind of refresh myself, and I realized her voice, she reminded me of Grace Slick a little bit from Jefferson Airplane. Wow. I'm not sure if she's ever gotten that before.
Yeah, she's gotten that. She gets a lot. Sue from Susie and the Banshees, she gets.
Right. It's sort of, it would be, again, I mean, Heather's right. It is unique sounding delivery, but it had that quality that I remembered hearing, and kind of like, I don't want to say husky or breathy, because that's not it. Again, like your music, it's sort of difficult to articulate what it but there was that quality that I remember hearing.
What I think would help, Vanishing Kids isn't a band that sometimes you get the first time through. It might take a few trips through the album, and then when it clicks, I believe that you're richly rewarded once you finally get it. And with Nikki, I found that the best way to do it is if you can get the album, the lyrics are inside the album. And if you listen to the music and read the lyrics, it all becomes very clear and it becomes very emotional. And you kind of get a glimpse inside Nikki's head and what's going on with this record and the Heavy Dreamer record also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Yeah. When Heather and I were talking, often we will have similar questions about the music, but we'll come at it from radically different points. So again, for me, I was sort of amazed. The band has been around for almost a quarter century now. Yeah. And the other thing, I was really intrigued by the fact that you're in Madison, Wisconsin, which I was very curious what the scene was like there.
Well, right now the scene, as it's always been in Madison, is just amazing for artists and musicians alike. It's a college town, that helps, but having the people who run the venues are very supportive of the music in that town. So it's very rarely a bad experience when we play up in Madison. And the town has just supported Vanishing Kids all these years and continue to this day.
Gotcha. Yeah, a friend of mine went to the university there, so I had only ever heard experiences about it from someone who attended the school. So for me, it was interesting to learn that there's sort of a thriving, music scene that treats their artists well. That's really wonderful.
Oh yeah, there and always has been. I've been playing up in Madison since the 1980s, and we've always had warm support and by all the venues and the fans alike up there too.
That's great.
Yeah, and I'm in Illinois, so I'm not too far away from you.
I'm actually in Illinois myself. I live in Rockford, and I travel. And the band is actually located between Rockford and Madison near Broadhead, Wisconsin. Have you ever heard of Broadhead?
Oh, no, I haven't. But Rockford, oh my goodness, we're really not that far away from each other.
Are you in Chicago?
No, I live out in the country. I live south of Rockford, probably about 50 miles.
Oh, really?
Out in the country. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's really cool about our show is I'm actually currently in South Carolina staying with my parents to help out, but I live in Virginia. So Heather and I do the show virtually like this from different states.
Yeah.
And, I'm a little bit more familiar with like the DC scene,
Yeah.
and Heather is more familiar with the Midwest. So we definitely have a pretty wide scope, but we're always like, I'm always, we learned the other day that Nashville has a pretty vibrant metal scene, which
it's weird.
Which I wouldn't have suspected. There were bands in, Wyoming that we spoke with. So it's always interesting to me to sort of meet bands from different regions and learn about what the local scene is like and how cool it is. But it's really, it's a universal, it's really a universal thing that we're all involved with.
But you guys are lucky, all the locations you just told me. Later on this July, we're going to be playing in Richmond, Virginia. Is that near you? Richmond?
Now Richmond's further south. I'm sort of on the border of DC, much more. I'm like as northern Virginia as you can get.
Huh. We do have a stop in Baltimore too, and then Chicago and Nashville too. Since you mentioned Nashville, so all that's coming up later on this year.
Cool.
That's great.
So maybe I'll see you, Andrew.
Yeah, perhaps. I may be back in. Unfortunately, my mother has ALS, so I'm living with them to help out with her. So I may be back by then. I may not. But if it would be great to see you play live at some point. We'll see. Well, hopefully we can coordinate that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
What?
Wait, I'm going. Sorry, Heather.
I was just going to say, do you know when you're going to be there?
There's a lot going on. That specific tour, I believe, is in the second half of July, and we start off in Indianapolis. We go to like Cleveland, New York, down through all the cities, down to Atlanta, and then end up in Nashville and end up in Chicago. That's the first tour of the year, and we're working on more tours also.
Okay. When where at in Chicago are you going to play? Do you know?
At Reggie's Rock Club again.
At Reggie's? Okay.
Yeah, that's the final stop of the tour. I'm not sure of the date.
Okay.
I think the tour starts July 19th, that specific tour. It's going to be, we're about ready to announce it. We got all the dates set up, and probably this week, announce that.
Very nice. Reggie's is a fun place to go.
Yeah, it is. We like Reggie's, and Reggie's likes us, and I think this will be our fourth time playing Reggie's.
Yeah.
It was interesting. You had echoed previously about, listening to the albums a couple of times for the penny to drop. To connect with the lyrics, with the music. So it was interesting because when I first listened to the music, I had only listened to the most recent album, and I had only listened to it once just to get familiar with it. And then this morning, I went back to the last two albums, and it started resonating with me more. I really enjoyed the music the first time I listened to it, but there was just something about the second time where I began connecting more. I was like, oh, this is new. This is a nuance I hadn't really noticed before. So I really
it was me too. I still listen to it, and I hear new things all the time too.
Of course.
It's such a layered, with there's a lot of layers, a lot of depth in the music, in the recording.
Yeah, well, I think Heather did. We both agreed. Not only was it difficult to describe what single adjective would work to describe the music. I mean, gloom metal definitely works.
It's the closest we can find.
But it really is very complex. There's a lot of layers there. I mean, like you said, you could go back and listen to it 50 times and get 50 new things from it.
Sure.
So I'm excited to go back and even go deeper into the catalog. Like, I've only listened to the most recent two albums. So, and you've been, I mean, the band.
You're going to have a big surprise when you go back, because the styles are really varied going back to 2000.
Yeah.
And it kind of changed. I joined the band in 2013. I've been on the last two records now. And it really was it was planned what we changed in music, and we succeeded in all aspects, I think.
Yeah.
Go on, Heather.
I have, well, of course now it escapes me what the names of the albums are. But I do have Heavy Dreamer, and I think I have the one the release before that too. That I have the actual album.
That's a great record. I'm not on that one, but I toured in support of that record, and that's how I joined the band. That record's called Spirit Visions, and it was released in 2013. And it's a great record, and the second song on that record is a song called Mother Earth. Do you remember hearing the song Mother Earth?
Mother Earth.
That's the second song on Spirit Visions. That's a song that got me into the band. When I heard that song, it was on a compilation record that Jason Hartman, our guitar player, had put out on his own label called Bright as Night Records. And I told him, I go, this is a great compilation, but that Vanishing Kids band, they're awesome. And he laughed. He goes, that's us. And then, because I knew nothing about the band, and I go, and I said, is that you singing, Jason? He goes, no, that's my wife, Nikki. And it just blew me away. And as we grew closer and we decided to collaborate, and 11 years later, here we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, that reminds me. I remember hearing at one point Brian Baker previously from the band Minor Threat had heard Bad Religion, and he said to I guess the lead singer, if you ever need a guitarist, and at the time I think they were a complete band, but he said, if you ever need a guitarist, I want to be involved with it, with whatever you're doing, because you've got it. And then I think 5 years later they needed a guitarist, and
that's exactly what happened. I told those guys, you guys ever need a bass player? And boy, it didn't take them long to hit me up for that. So, and I'm so glad they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know because about the dynamics of being in a band, because my dad was in a band for a long time, and keeping band members together for such a long period of time is really amazing, because people come and people go all the time, and it's hard to have that. It's hard to get that cohesiveness.
Yeah, it has to become like a family, and that's what. One thing I didn't expect when I joined Vanishing Kids was how much they were going to accept me in as family, and now it's exactly how it is right now. And so, what used to be Jason and Nikki running the show all those years, now they've added me, and we actually have the Miracle of Death lineup, which also includes our new drummer Brad Haw on drums, and our second guitar player is David Atelveroff, who's also from Jex Toss, like everybody else we use. we keep stealing members of Jex Toth. Sorry, we keep stealing members and trading members with Jex Toth, who also is a Madison band. I don't know if you're familiar with Jex Toth. Well, we're checking out, but we're kind of like sister bands in Madison, and we've done a lot of shows in the past, and now we're stealing each other's members. But the new Miracle Death lineup is solid. We toured with it last November. We did a little East Coast swing, and I think you guys should come to the shows this July. You should try.
Yeah, if it's possible, we'll definitely be there.
Yeah, just to see Nikki sing these songs live, she's spot on, man, on stage, and she's just pure magic, you know. And nobody ever talks about it, but she's a mad keyboardist too. And just runs the show, you know. He's front and center, and it's very powerful. Very powerful.
I can only, you know, this morning listening to it in my headphones and connecting with it the way that I did, I can only imagine what it's like to feel the music being performed live in front of you. So, if
I'll make sure that you feel it, Andrew. You're gonna come hear my bass, and I've always had kids come up to me after the show and my bass sound is very deep and underneath the music, you know, and there's not a lot of high notes. You know, basically I just cut the mids and the highs, and I just come in underneath. And I get a lot of compliments or observations. You know, they say, "Man, you shook this place, Jerry." And I go, "I know." So you will feel it, Andrew.
I'm sure. Yeah, I look forward to that experience.
I'll let you in a little secret. What I try to do is in the old days when you went to a concert, you'd feel the bass in your chest, you know, and I always talk to the sound guys and we talk about that feeling in your chest, and they start to get, you know, they start getting geared up, you know, because they want to do that. And I go, I don't want none of that. I go, I want to come in from underneath. I want people to feel their taints just shivering like pudding skin, like old day-old pudding in the refrigerator. You open the fridge and it goes. That's what your taint is going to do. And you're going to realize that you have a taint when you're at a Vanishing Kids show. That's how heavy it is.
I feel like that should be a tagline. You know, as gloom metal, music you can feel, music will vibrate your taint.
You're hired, Andrew.
That's gloom metal.
You want to be our new PR guy? Come on over.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sells itself practically.
That would definitely be a new experience.
I'm sure you won't be disappointed, Heather.
No, I'm sure I wouldn't be. I'm sure you guys. I can just imagine how wonderful you guys are live, and just to be able to stand there and feel it. You know, that's the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a fan.
Yeah. I know. And now is the Psych Fest? Is that in Milwaukee? Is it the Milwaukee Psych Fest?
Milwaukee's having one. In Wisconsin, they tend to move it around from city to city. I think last year it might have been in Green Bay. I don't think we're playing that this year. We are booked to play the Maryland Doomfest. Maybe it's a Psych Fest. I don't know. In Baltimore. Yeah. That's next year, though.
Next year. Okay.
But maybe we'll hook up with Wisconsin. We usually do get treated pretty well.
Yeah. I didn't realize it moved to different towns.
We might be talking about two different things. I'm talking about the Doomed and Stoned Fest.
Oh, okay.
And again, it goes back to what you guys are saying is, you know, what genre are these guys? So we get lumped in with psych bands, you know, then they want to put us with the stoner doom bands. And basically we walk into a place and there's all these heavy metal dudes, and then there's these psych freaks, and we don't fit neatly in any. So sometimes I think we confuse people more than anything. But then they always get the people who have listened more than once, like you, Andrew, and they go, I like that, and they get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I'm fond of saying on the show is that the only reason, aside from helping to classify where the music should go, in a category, really the only reason most of these labels exist is to give people something to argue about.
So,
sure. But yeah, I can imagine it's probably difficult because you don't fit easily into one category. So it's
Yeah,
sort of
it is.
harder to. But at the same time, hopefully there are some open-minded people there that catch on and think, "Oh, this is something new. I'm going to give this a shot."
Oh yeah, and there's always been those fans at the show. We do have our own fans, and they always want to hear their certain songs, which of course we're not playing that night. Some songs off the Heavy Dreamer album. In our set right now, the only song is Heavy Dreamer from that record. But we've been working with Oral Music, our record company. Just this past week, we've been working with them, and we found out that we got all the artwork done, everything done, and we're going to re-release Heavy Dreamer on vinyl and CD again. So I thought that was pretty cool that we get to go out on tour with 2 records this year. The new one, Miracle of Death, and then our record from 2018, Heavy Dreamer, in tow with us to tour around the United States.
Yeah, that's
You know,
awesome.
the album cover for Miracle of Death, you know, it kind of, like, to me, it kind of looks like it's melting. You know, what does that represent?
I think some people think that it's a picture of some people in our band, which it's not. It kind of, I mean, it I think it's a take on the band's name itself, which is that's another thing that people want to know, what does a band name mean? And I think that meaning has changed over the years since 2000 when they started to now. It's basically a literal meaning, like fleeting youth. I mean, fleeting youth. And on the cover, the melting is like, you know, your youth is sliding away, and we're getting into the, you know, into our later years. At least I am in my later
Yeah,
years.
me too.
Yeah.
I'm right there
So
with
you,
you.
you can take the band's name and the title of the album itself, you know, very literally if you'd like. But we also leave a lot open to interpretation, and it's, you know, which is good music always allows the listener to make their own choices, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing Andrew and I talked about was the meaning of your band name, what it could possibly mean. And
That probably means exactly what you think it does.
yep, yeah. Are when they re-release Heavy Dreamer, is it going to be a different album art and different? Is it going to look different than the original?
I think that's one thing I don't know, but I'm going to have to assume it does.
Yeah.
I made my suggestions, but I'm not in the art department. I would like to see the cover of the album pressed right on the record, so still be black vinyl with all the different colors on
Yeah.
that beautiful artwork. But we'll see. Maybe that's real expensive, and they just say, "Shut up, Jerry. Go back to base."
Stay in your lane.
Hey, I'm I'm fine with that. And I'm going to tell you, it's a good time to be a Vanishing Kid right now, and I love my position in the band. And if I can just play bass in this band for the rest of my life, I'm happy.
Oh, that's terrific. That's great. Yeah, it sounds like it's just a wonderful experience, all of it.
Oh yeah, it's a good time, and there's lots in the works right now. We kind of took the winter off, but we got back to work a few weeks ago. We shot a new video for the song Midnight Children that's really kind of really weird and psychedelic and spooky. And Nikki always dresses me up crazy, and I let her do whatever she wants to me. And then we got the Heavy Dreamer repress, and we going to announce the new tour coming up. We have some regional shows coming up in Milwaukee and Madison this summer, but we get back to rehearsals in April and get ready for all the live shows. And then I guess next year the tour we're working on, I guess I can divulge that they told me to get my passport. So we'll see where that takes us.
Oh,
We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah,
That
that's awesome.
I'm kind of excited for that one.
yeah, that is exciting. Very exciting. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of new things in the works.
Yeah, there is. You guys pay attention here, and then we'll be coming over to your area in July, Andrew.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
Heather, you're right here. We're actually going to try to get a Rockford show, Heather. It's not usually where Vanishing Kids plays, but it's where I live, so they want to come down here. I think, sell a bunch of T-shirts.
Yeah. Let me know about that. I'll definitely try to show up.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a Vanishing Kids t-shirt. I'll pick one up. Well, that There a lot of stuff on the horizon for you guys. So that's really great. That's really great. Is there anything else you can think of that you'd like to talk about?
That people should go to our Bandcamp page and purchase the Miracle of Death album. I've heard that some retailers are having trouble stocking it right now. I don't know what that means. Maybe there's a glitch in the system. Maybe it's starting to sell out. But Heavy Dreamer sold out within a year after its release, which is why we're going to re-release it. And I have the feeling that Miracle of Death, which is getting way more attention than Heavy Dreamer, if you want to snag a copy, I'd probably do it. We could probably expect a re-release of that album sometime in the future too, but I'm not in control of that. That's Oral Music's call right there. Again, Oral Music, our rec company, they're out of Italy, and they've been so helpful to us. It was their idea to refresh Heavy Dreamer, and we loved it. It's just cool, that you can actually sell out your record and get a repress. I don't know. It's a good time. It's a good time to be a Vanishing Kid.
Sure.
Yeah, and I have a lot of records, and it's always amazing to me when the represses they end up being worth more money than the original albums, which I can't really wrap my mind around that, but I've noticed that a lot. That happens a lot.
It's amazing what the price of records are anyway these days, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's an expensive hobby.
I'm glad I get mine free. I couldn't afford them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a slight addiction too,
Do you have a copy of Miracle of Death on vinyl?
No, I do have Heavy Dreamer, but I don't have Miracle.
You snagged a Heavy Dreamer, huh? Have you had it for a while?
Yeah, I'm I think I bought it. I want to say I bought it like a year ago, I think.
You had no idea who the band was.
I thought the album art was amazing.
It is amazing.
And yeah. So that's what grabbed me, I think.
I'm looking forward to what the next record is going to look like, the next cover, because every time they show me the artwork, I go, well, that's it right there. But they show me Miracle of Death. I go, that's one of those images when you see the Miracle of Death cover. And I can't remember the artist's name. He's also an Italian gentleman. But first time you see that and you go, oh, wow, that's the cover right there.
Yeah.
And we flirted with a few different album titles. Feral Angel was an album title for a while, but then Nikki settled on Miracle of Death. And I guess one more thing I could add that's exciting going on is over the winter break here, Jason and Nikki have been writing our next record. And so I should shortly start getting what Nikki calls them her scratch horde demos, and she sends them to me, and then I sit around here and write all the bass lines for it. Only this time I don't have a pandemic to do it in, which was 13 months long where I got to write all the bass lines for Miracle of Death. And I'm glad I don't have another pandemic to do that in. But we did work quite effectively remotely, where I didn't see those guys for 13 months until 2021.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's cool that there's, you've got, you're touring with 2 records coming out, repress, and you've got more music on the horizon. So it's a good time to be a Vanishing Kid.
Sure is.
Yeah, good time to be a Vanishing Kids fan too. Lots of good stuff going on. Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking for you, Heather, at the Reggie show.
At the Reggie show?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's July 27th. It's Saturday night.
It's a Saturday night? Okay.
I'm going to put you on the guest list.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I don't know your last name, but I'll find out by then.
It's Lawson.
And you'll be in good company when I put you on the guest list. I have a thing that I do at every show is that we put a few folks on the guest list, girlfriends, boyfriends. And I also put Lemmy Kilmister on the guest list every time. And people, who know who he is, they look at me, he's dead. And I go, well, that's what I heard. It's been reported that he died.
He still might show up.
If he shows up, he's got a spot.
Yeah.
I was once in a band called For Christ's Sakes back in about 30 years ago. We were touring West Coast, and we had a gig where Lemmy was at the gig that we were playing at, and there was like 11 bands. We were the very last band of the night, which means you're going to be the closeout band when there's nobody there. I didn't know that. I thought we were headlining, but turns out you're the band, the warm down band. And there's maybe 2,000 people at this club, including Lemmy. By the time we got on stage, Lemmy's long gone, and 990 or 1,990 people are gone. So there was 10 people in the audience to see us. So Lemmy missed it. He missed out.
He missed out.
Well, yeah, he might come back to see the Vanishing Kids. Who knows?
I got him covered, man.
He's covered.
Yes.
I have some Lemmy stories. If you ever want to do another podcast, I can fill you up. They're not my shiniest moments. Let me put it that way.
Sure. Well, we can revisit that for part 2.
That actually sounds quite interesting.
Oh, it's interesting. I've corrected my ways. I'm much soberer now. Let's put it that way. More sober.
Yeah. Me too.
Me 3.
Not by choice. When you get older, you just can't do it. So.
Oh, I know it. It hits you different when you get older. Yeah.
Well, you ain't kidding.
Yeah. I can handle like maybe 1 or 2 drinks maximum now, and that's it.
Probably 3.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, thank you. No, I'm good. We've covered everything. There's new music coming out. There's touring. There's everything. We've learned potentially what the Vanishing Kids name originally meant, where the album artwork comes from. That the bass lines will rock your taint.
Shake your taint like pudding skin, Andrew.
It's much more poetic the way you had it originally.
I exaggerate. When you go there, we go there to worship Nikki Queen. You don't go there to worship me and my taint shaking bass lines. You go to worship Nikki Queen, and we all worship Nikki Queen. And when you see it, you'll go, oh yeah. That's what I call her, Nikki. I call her Nikki Queen. I think she gets embarrassed. So shut up, Jerry. But you are my Queen Nikki. So thanks, you guys. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks so much, Jerry.
Thanks, Heather. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, you guys.
All right, have a good one.
I'll catch you guys out on the road.
I'll see you guys.
Bye.
Take
Bye
care.
now.
Bye. Thank you.